Hello everyone, welcome to Love Talk, the program that is not afraid to offer honest advice on improving relationships.
Now, relationships may be very rewarding, but they also need a lot of time invested and also hard work. But this is made even more challenging when we talk about a long-distance relationship.
No doubt, it's easier to maintain a long-distance relationship with the added help of video chat, Skype, and etc. But is it the same as being there in person? Can it ever replace the real thing? And how long can this realistically last for before cracks start to appear?
In order to clear all these points up and hopefully help you who may be in this situation, in the process we will be speaking to a couple who fed their long-distance relationship successfully and what they learned during that period.
But first, here's what's coming up on today's program.
Hello and welcome to Love Talk. Today we are talking about the type of relationship that faces the challenge of distance. That is, of course, the famous long-distance relationship. With more people travelling now than ever before, is it any surprise that relationships are being put through their paces as they travel over lands and seas? It's now not even unfamiliar for a budding romance to form with someone a person may have never met before. That is, of course, helped with social media. Some would say there are benefits to having a long-distance relationship, such as having space and independence, exploring new ways to communicate, pining over the next time you'll meet. However, there are challenges such as the obvious physical distance, loneliness, and insecurities. This is all according to the website reachout.com. They suggested that a way for sustaining a relationship that has to survive the challenge of distance is to communicate regularly. Talk to others who are not miles away, such as family and friends, and plan times when you can meet up. Which leads me to ask the question, will the long period of separation fulfill the age-old saying of distance makes the heart grow fonder? Now let's meet up with our hosts who have taken a little trip today to a pretty distant location themselves. Let's join James and Helena for the Love Talk show, brought to you straight from one of the friendliest cities in the West Midlands, Birmingham. First question, could you be in a long-distance relationship?
Probably not. I don't think it would really work out, because if you have one person over here and the other person's on, I don't know, like the other side of the world, you don't really know what that person's going to be doing. So I think I'd be paranoid about it.
What do you think some of the difficulties people face that are in long-distance relationships?
Trust, confidence in themselves, and communication as well, lack of communication.
Do you think that distance will make the heart grow fonder? So if you're separated for a long time, will you be more eager to see each other?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes, put it this way, I went to America and left my partner over here. I went for a month and it was doing my head in. I went on holiday. I actually chose to go over there and it just done my head in. Phone calls was not enough and I actually wanted to get on the next plane and come back.
What do you think are the chances of a long-distance relationship lasting?
It can last a very long time, actually, saying that. My friend actually, he recently, he didn't split up with his partner, but they kind of had to take a break because his other half had to go and work or overseas, and them two are so made for each other, it's unreal, literally. And it can work, honestly, because they haven't, no one's cheated, no one's thought about cheating. You know, they text each other all the time, even if they don't speak to 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And when, to see his face light up when he gets a message from him is just unreal. So you know it's there, but not everyone has it. Some people don't, some people do. But I aspire to be like them, also like my parents one day. Because them two, they're always working, they grew their business up and apart. So it's kind of a separate thing, really. It's quite good.
How long should the distance last for? Should it be a month, a year? How long should a long-distance relationship last?
I believe it should last not as long as that person, as long as the pair feels comfortable. If they feel, they're ready to get married, they want to be together, I believe it should last as long as that. That's the question for them to decide.
Let's get one thing out of the way right off the bat. There's no doubt that long-distance relationships can work. The question is, for how long?
Well, no matter how many times a day you speak on the phone or you video chat, there is always a human need for touch and affection. And sooner or later, these come into play. You can still feel very alone if the person is not physically close to you.
And when the person starts craving that physical touch and is nowhere to be found, that is when some people search for it on other people who are close by. Usually the decision to do this is immediately regretted, but by then there may be already some irreparable damage to that relationship.
Indeed, over the years we have helped couples who have gone through this exactly. Some, due to circumstances, made a decision to work abroad for a long period of time, or for other reasons felt that being away from their significant others was necessary at one point. Eventually problems started to occur.
So the reality is that nowadays it's a lot easier to maintain a long-distance relationship, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of things that people can use now to maintain a relationship that weren't available before. You know,
it was a lot harder years ago. I
It
mean,
was.
I remember we used to write to each other. I still have those letters well kept away.
Helena keeps telling me about these letters all the time, right?
One day I shall reveal them.
No, please don't. But
It's actually very nice. I enjoyed
that
it.
was a way for us to keep the relationship.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to get a letter from Helena, and the same day I would already write mine back and post it. So
I would check the post every single day.
and that was a way of us trying to keep
Yes.
things alive.
But it's a lot harder when you don't have all the technology you have today for you to keep, in contact with someone for so long,
And
far away.
if you look back, for example, in the 50s when we had the Second World War, we had the girlfriends, the wives who would write to the soldiers, that were there. But the thing is that what helped to keep that relationship alive is that they knew that this was only for a period of time. The soldier was going to be there for 6 months, for a year, and hopefully he would come back. If he wouldn't, unfortunately, die in battle, he would come back. And that's a key point,
Exchanging of photographs,
Yes.
these cute things.
But the key point is that a long-distance relationship can never be for an undetermined period of time.
Yeah, I personally think that more than a year that's already a lot. To stay away from someone for more than a year, that's already.
But of course, we know that
It's very difficult.
we know that some circumstances are different, right?
It's true.
We don't know. Some people are forced to be in that position.
It's hard. It's challenging for their relationship.
Absolutely.
I'm sure.
We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, we're going to be talking more about this, and we'll be giving you advice on how to make a relationship work if, for a short period of time, you are apart. You are feeding this long-distance relationship. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello and welcome to the 60-second Celebrity Couples. The two Alexes, that is Alexa Chung and Alexander Skarsgård, have admitted to being a couple for quite a while now. But just to keep the tongues wagging, the British TV personality and actor was seen making out in New York not too long ago. Love is in the air. Singer Jessie J has confirmed her relationship with singer Luke James following a few flirty tweets between the two. This was all made official on Instagram when she posted a picture of him as part of Man Crush Mondays with the caption, "My first ever official Man Crush Monday. My man, my crush, my Monday morning." Couldn't have said it any better, Miss J. For those of you who don't already know, Robert Pattinson and FKA Twigs have made it official. Rumours have been circulating for months that the two were dating after multiple photos together, but now they've finally been photographed holding hands. Typical Edward Cullen style. What a gentleman. Now, that was interesting. Be sure to come back for more of who's dating who in the world of celebrity couples.
Welcome back. Today we are talking about long-distance relationships. According to a recent stats in the US, as many as 40% of long-distance relationships end in separation.
You have to admit that is a significant number by anyone's standards. Before we tell you 5 important things to note about long-distance relationships, here's what some people who have been experiencing long-distance relationships think about it.
I am currently in a long distance relationship.
For 2.5 years, it was long distance.
The first was 2 years, and I am in one now.
We dated for 2 years, then we did a year long distance, then we lived together for a year, and then we did 6 months or so long distance before it ended.
We were long distance for a year.
The hardest part is feeling that nobody else thinks that what you're doing is sustainable.
You don't have to plan your day around it, but you definitely have to make extra effort.
So there would be a lot of issues as far as communication where I'm not willing to Skype for 3 hours.
We still call each other like
Sometimes.
every 3 days, I'd say.
You run out of things to say on the phone. How was your day? It was fine. Like, did anything happen? Just like, no, not really. Like, it was just like a normal day. And so then there's silence.
What was special about my day, and how did it change me, and how can I share that with the other person?
Even if you're just sitting in a car driving someplace in silence, you're together and you feel that. And you don't have that when you're in a long distance relationship. And you're trying to artificially recreate it, but silence over the phone is, it's nothing, right? Silence in person means something.
You fall in love and it's hard, and it's like, will I connect with someone like this again? And is it worth it?
When you really like someone or even love someone, it makes it worth it.
You're constantly asking yourself, is it worth it? And I feel like I learn something new every time I ask myself that question.
I mean, it wasn't worth it, right? Because we broke up, so.
But we were never like, this is ending our relationship.
Yeah.
It was just, this sucks that this is our relationship right now.
Really, when it comes down to it, any relationship ends when either one person stops caring about the other or both people give up.
I think the key to doing a long distance relationship is having an end in sight.
Like a date. She would move in. We would move in together in July, so we knew that.
And then we did.
We did.
Ooh.
You really learn about communication and how to stay open with someone.
It made us also like not dwell as much on like little arguments anymore, unless you forget to bring your girlfriend potatoes from the German restaurant. She will drill at home for an hour at you. This happened last night.
Waiting, several days before you can even talk or Skype with the other person, or waiting months before you can hug them again. It's hard.
It makes you appreciate loving someone when you can't see them every day.
So sweet.
I
texted him twice to ask for these potatoes.
No, you texted
after
me once
work.
about the potatoes. They're good potatoes.
They're so good. But I wouldn't know because I didn't have them yesterday.
Yeah.
As you can see, there are some mixed feelings about this issue, but let's get straight to 5 very important things to note if a long-term relationship is going to work.
Number 1, be transparent about temptations. If you're struggling with, not having that person close to you and you want to be close to that person and you feel that sometimes you're tempted because there's other people around you who may be paying attention to you, then be honest about it. Talk to your partner, talk to that person you are in a relationship with, and tell them you're struggling with this and work out a plan to make sure you're not going to make a mistake you're going to regret later.
Number 2, keep the contact as frequent as possible. Why? Because this will make you feel like you are closer to the person. And if you, just talk from, every 4 days or every 3 days, it's not really, really helpful. It's not going to help you. Trust me.
Number 3, watch out for changes in behavior and be open to talk about things if all is not well. If you were talking to the person every day and then the person starts making excuses for not speaking to you every day or virtually every day, if the person was really happy and bubbly and open and all of a sudden it's like they just came from a funeral, there's something wrong, right? Usually it's because the person has done something or is struggling with something and perhaps they don't want to tell you what it is. And it's in those moments you have to try to get the person to talk without being judgmental.
Number 4, include your family in the relationship. And what this means is it is healthy for you to, because it's like you saw in the video, there's times where you don't have much to say to one another. Oh, how was your day? Oh, it was fine. What did you eat? Oh, I had potatoes. So it's nice that you talk about each other's family and things that are happening. And I mean, I think this brings you all closer. I think so.
And number 5, a long distance relationship must always be for a predetermined amount of time. Don't say, look, I'm going to work in Dubai and I'll see you when I see you. That doesn't work. You have to say, listen, I'm going to go to Dubai for 6 months. I'm going to put some money together so we can, get married or buy a house. But I'll come back and I've already got something in the pipeline. Or whatever reason you're going to travel, you have to make sure that you and that person knows that this is going to be for a predetermined amount of time. Something interesting on the video we saw a few moments ago, that couple that you saw in that video, they knew that they were separated for a short amount of time. They knew they were going to come back together. Make sure that this is something you have already set in stone.
Well, we hope this has been useful. Now our guest couple today is not in the studio with us. We caught up with them on location earlier. Let's meet them.
We couldn't have a better couple with us today to talk about long-distance relationships. These guys were together but at the same time separated for 2 years. Different countries and so on, but somehow they made the relationship work.
Yes, they did, and I look forward to hear all about it. So let's see what they have to say.
So we have Eric and Priscilla here. Guys, you were dating each other, different countries. Tell us a little bit about your story. Eric, you start.
We started our relationship in Brazil, and as soon as we started, we already got separated, as Priscilla went to UK, and I stayed in Brazil some more years.
Yeah, we met there in São Paulo. I had just went back to Brazil because I wasn't living there. So we met there. We stayed, I think it was 8 months together there. And then because of my father's work, I had to go with him here to the UK. And then we stayed more 8 months separate until you came? Or it was actually a year?
No, it was more than a year.
Was more than a year? I don't even remember, but because, yeah, it was one. It was, yeah.
So Priscilla, how did you, and Priscilla and Eric, how did you make it work since you've been away from each other for quite a long time? Tell us how you made it work.
I think that when you're decided about something, nothing makes you give up on that. So I was decided to make it work. So I already knew that we were gonna have this distant relationship because I knew I wasn't going to stay at Brazil because it was just, and then my father would have to go back. And then I had to go with him, so I knew. When we started, I knew. So I took the opportunity that I had to stay with him, those 8 months, 1 year, something, there in Brazil. I took the opportunity to, get to know him in a way that I would only get to know him in person. So we would be strong enough and decided enough to, when we get...
Something that really helped us to stay strong in this relationship was that we knew that this situation would happen. And when we started, we were ready. So we were decided, really decided, of course. Though we were decided, it didn't make any easy for us.
Now, what many people don't know is that Eric used to be a goalkeeper for a very top team in Brazil. Of course, in his younger days, even though he's still young. Now, what I want to find out from you, Eric, is for those 2 years, what did you do to try to keep that relationship alive? What, was it just you used to think about each other, you used to talk to each other, and were you determined that this relationship was long distance, but for a short period of time, you had a plan to be together, to get married?
I was very good keeper, by the way. I was very good goalkeeper. But we always tried to be communicating to each other, though she was always in a country that the time was different from mine.
4 hours, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, 4 hours, either ahead or behind. We always tried to be talking. I always tried to talk to her on Skype so that I could see her. I would miss it a lot. And that's what made our relationship to be always alive, as you said. But of course, we always had a target. since the beginning, we were not dating far away from each other just for the sake of it. We had a target of getting married, and that's what made us stronger every single day.
What you said is actually very important, because if you are having a long-term relationship, as we said earlier in the show, it's okay as long as there is a target and an understanding that you're not going to be separate forever. It's not like without a determined set time. If you have a target as to when you're going to come back together, and that's going to be a permanent solution eventually, that's what people should be looking for, right?
It motivates you to keep going and resist temptations and resist all sorts of things, because it's not easy to be alone away from your partner for so long, and
statistics say that couples on a long-term relationship are 40% more likely to break up. Now that's a significant, a huge number.
It is, but I have a question for you, Priscilla. I heard that when you were living in Dubai, I don't know how it happened, or I don't know the whole story. I heard that someone tried to buy you to marry them or something. Can you I want to know what happened, and how did Eric react? Because he's far away from you, and then you have that Skype date. Hey, honey, so what's up with you? Oh yeah, someone tried to buy me and everything. How did he react? Tell us all about it.
I was in front of a vending machine, and then this guy comes. What are you doing this Sunday? I was like, I'm going to church. And he was like, you could come with us, with my family. I'm a local here. I have some boats. We could go there, I know many people here. I know important people here. It's going to be nice if you come with us. And he was just saying about his possessions, trying to impress. So I would say yes. But at the end, I was like, no, I'm okay. Sorry, excuse me. Because I know what I wanted. I was serious about him. But it was so funny, because when I called him on Skype and I told him what happened, he was like, what? And what did you say?
No, I want you to imagine my reaction, knowing that she was so far from me and I couldn't do anything about it.
But the good thing is that at the end of the day, we understood that also for a long-distance relationship to last and to be successful, there must be trust, because we are all day. I don't know what's happening with him. I don't know how his day is going. I'm only gonna know at the end of the day when we call each other. So we have to trust each other too. So something that we understood while we were dating apart from each other, we understood that something very important is to trust, because we don't know what's going on with us the whole day. We only know about our day when we call each other at night. So if we don't trust, we're gonna, first of all, I would be paranoid, isn't it? What is he doing? Who is he talking to? Is he thinking of me? What's going on with him?
Let's go for a break. Join us after this.
Right, so today we're mixing business with pleasure. We're doing our date trip for two, but we also have a lovely couple here with us. Former goalkeeper, right? And he said was a very good goalkeeper. I've seen him playing. He's okay. And
James in football, huh?
Well, it's a man's thing. What we want to find out from this couple now is how they adapted at the beginning, because the beginning of a marriage is always a little bit tricky.
Yes, it's not easy, and those who say it is, I don't know. I know it can be very tricky and challenging, and we want to know all about their story, don't we?
So guys, what did you find it difficult when you were adapting at the beginning of the marriage? I don't know who's going to start. Priscilla, Eric?
So we are very different from each other. We are not similar at all. So I grew up, although I'm Brazilian, as he is, I grew up in Japan, and he grew up there in Brazil. But then I grew up in the city, and he grew up in the countryside. My family is small, his family is big. So we had different backgrounds, different, costumes. Everything was different at all.
And because of that, it made it very difficult in the beginning for us to be talking to each other. Because she had a total different mind from mine. So I used to say something, she wouldn't agree. And we were far from each other. So my desire was to look in her eyes and say, that's it. But then I would.
So you guys are really different. I know, because I was listening to your story the other day. But what attracted you to her? Because, you saw her the first time, and then what was your reaction? What attracted you to her? Tell us.
When we started dating, I think she was 16. She was very mature in her mind. So she used to help me a lot, especially my work. So she used to be always motivating me, give me that last push so that I can always do better. And that's what called my attention a lot in the beginning. But when we got married, we struggled a little bit with, as any couple may struggle, when they start their marriage. Because then I started seeing things in her that I haven't seen before. Things that it would really get on my nerves. And I'd say, but that's not the girl that I was dating. And that made me very annoying about it.
Well, what it was that because he was a goalkeeper, he went to live there in the stadium. He was very young, 14 and so he had to look after his own things. He had to be organized because he had no one to do this for him. And my whole life I was with my parents. My mom used to do everything for me. Although I knew how to do it, I wasn't used to do those things. So the thing that we struggled the most when we got married was that he was very organized, very, very organized. It was a little bit too much. Now he's calming down. But this I have to say. I caught him one day measuring if the bed was made, if it was equal one side to the other, and his socks had to be all
It's because I wanted her to be like I am. This is it. And I know she was not, and she will never be. That was the problem.
But now we are adapting, isn't it?
Maybe this thing with the measuring the bed is because, goalkeepers, they need to keep the same distance between the posts. So maybe it was still the old Eric coming through. So, what did you do then to overcome these problems of adapting that every couple has in the beginning? Priscilla, you had to cope with him being so freakishly neat with these things. What did you do?
First, we had to understand, because we always hear that. We need to know, we need to understand that we are not the same. You need to understand that your partner doesn't have the same mentality that you have. So to say is very easy, but when we're there, it seems like we forget these things. We forget that we knew about this already, and then we're like, you have to be like me. No, you have to be more relaxed. No, you have to be more neat. So first we had to say, okay, let's go back to what we first learned, because he actually went first to Love Talk Live. He started attending. Yeah, he was the one who brought me. So he started attending, and then he started bringing what he learned into our relationship. So we said, okay, we are not the same. So now what can we do to cope with this? So I am going to try to be more balanced. I'm not going to be as you are, but I'm going to, watch a little bit more my mess, if that makes sense. And you're going to be more thoughtful. You're gonna have a little bit of mercy. You're not gonna be like, oh, there's a little thing here. Oh, everything is messed up.
But you see, that was never the problem, because I tried to look for help before. That's why I went to the Love Talk. But then I started thinking like this. So what can I do to solve this problem, as she will not change overnight? So then what I started doing, I started not saying anything about it. I just would do it, things that I would say for her to do it. And I would expect her to see that I was doing, and then she would follow me. And it started working.
Because I felt very bad. So I saw him doing, I was like, no, I have to go there and do it. So let me go.
What advice do you have for those who are on long distance relationships?
I would say communication. Because when you communicate, when you don't hide things from each other, You know, I used to tell him everything, even those things that he wouldn't want to hear. But he had to know, because when we have communication, it brings trust. Because if we feel like someone is hiding something from us, we don't trust that person. So for me, I would say communication is something really important, you know.
But of course, there must be a target, a name. Otherwise, this relationship will start getting weaker and weaker and weaker. As we had a target, so when we talk, we would already plan how our marriage would be, how our wedding day would be. So everything was already planned. We already knew the day, we already knew how things would be, and that made us to go into the end.
Guys, thank you so much for being on the program. It's been amazing and inspirational to have you on the show.
It was a pleasure to be here with you, and I hope I have helped you a lot.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you've helped our viewers.
Not helped me, but helped those who are in long-distance relationships.
Who are in need of this help.
Sure. And by the way, now we're going to see how this couple is going to get on with the quiz, the love quiz. Usually we do it before the interview. Today, because we're on a boat, we're going to see how they fare right now.
Hello and welcome to this week's quiz. Today I have with me Priscilla and Eric, and we are on board of a very nice boat today. And you know, let's see how well they know each other. They've only been married for a year or so. Let's see how well they do. Now, the rules are very simple, Priscilla and Eric. You only have 10 seconds to answer each question correctly. You only have 5 questions, so let's see how you do. Now, let's begin with Eric. Eric, what makes Priscilla happy? 10 seconds.
What makes her happy, it's when I share my experiences with her.
Right, Eric, I'm afraid you got it wrong, but let's go to the second question, shall we? What's her favorite lipstick color?
Red.
No, it's not that.
Oh, pink.
Correctly, that's exactly what she said, pink. Well done. Let's go to question number 3. What's her favorite accessory?
Earring.
No, I'm afraid you got it wrong.
Watch. Ring.
No, I'm afraid you got it wrong. Let's go to question number 4. Right, Eric, what's her shoe size?
4.
Excellent. Very well. Now you can buy her new shoes. And question number 5. What does she like the most about you? 10 seconds on the clock.
The way that I treat her?
No, Eric, I'm afraid you got that one wrong as well. I'm sure she said, you know, she thinks that of you, but that's not what she answered. Right, Priscilla, it's your turn. Are you excited about this? Are you ready? Good. Now, question number 1, and you only have 10 seconds, remember. What annoys Eric the most?
For sure, if there is a mess somewhere, if it's not organized, he gets annoyed, very annoyed.
Exactly, you got it right. You see, you know what to do now. Question number 2, Priscilla. What are you guys most likely to argue about?
The same thing of question number 1, pretty much, yeah.
Exactly, you see? Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Let's move on to question number 3. What's his favorite food?
He likes, because he's from the south of Brazil, where they have barbecue all the time, so barbecue.
That's correct. Well done once again. Very well answered. Question number 4. Question number 4. What does he like to do on his spare time? 10 seconds.
He doesn't like to stay at home. He likes to go to the movies, the shopping.
No. I'm sure he loves movies, but he did not answer that. I'm afraid he got it wrong. He said he likes to watch football. So question number 5. What does he like the most about you?
That's a good question. Let me think. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm afraid you ran out of time. You did. But she said your maturity. So, there you have it. Well done to you guys. And the score is 3-2. Well done, Priscilla. Eric, you have to do some homework here. And I'm sure that when we meet again, you will you'll do better at the quiz. After all, it's only been a year.
The 3 most annoying things about my partner are: the first one, she's very disorganized. But I believe she was. She's not no more.
I would say number 1 for sure is the exaggeration on the organization.
It's the way that she likes to buy things. She always desiring to buy and buy and buy, and sometimes it's too much.
Number 2 is that at the same time that he's very organized, because he expects me to be as organized as he is. So sometimes he expects organization, but then he leaves his stuff there, and then he complains that I didn't organize. So he's an organized person, if that makes sense.
Third thing, it is this one is hard. You see how my wife is good.
I think for now I only have 2, but I think I'm gonna find more, in the middle of the way.
When sometimes I say something to her and she just disagrees there and then. And I always say to her, don't say it directly to me. Hold on, and after you say that you don't like it, but don't say it now, please. These are the things.
Well, this week we went on a very, very exciting, well, at least for me, very exciting date. We went to the canals of Birmingham and we went for, a little boat ride around the canal.
And you didn't get seasick.
No, it was
was
very
good.
smooth and I loved it. So let's have a look.
So as we're talking about long-distance relationships, today we're in Birmingham, 120 miles from London, and I think it fits the whole concept of the long-distance relationship show.
Absolutely. Join us on a very soothing ride through the canal, but I would like to introduce you to our skipper for today, and we're going to learn a bit more about the history and everything that he wants to tell us about this area and his boats. Vic, thank you so much for being our skipper for today, but I want to know more about the history of the boat and what you do.
Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah, the boat, as you can see, it's called Anson, built in 1958. We converted it 40 years ago to be a passenger boat. I myself have been trip boating since 1990, and I've actually known this particular boat since about 1980, 79, 80. So quite a while now.
A bit of history there, and then what kind of people come to your boat? What do you usually do here? What happens? Because I know you host like parties and things. Tell us a bit more about that, if you could, please.
Yes, what we do, well, like you've just mentioned, we take parties out, be birthday parties, hen parties, stag do's, and that sort of thing, children's parties, and for average on like 3-hour trips and things like that. The boat itself is fitted out basically like a floating pub with fully stocked bar and so forth, and we have catering on board and that, and here and there we have live music on the boat as well.
Right, Graham, as the boat owner, by the way, thank you so much for having us on our trip for 2. We had so much fun and we loved the experience. How can people at home, contact you and book, their own trip?
Well, we do have a website, www.partyboatsbirmingham.co.uk, and most people find us that way. We do parties for all sorts of types of occasion, lots of birthdays, hen parties, even stag parties occasionally, wedding anniversaries, works outings, office outings, all sorts. We've never done a wake yet, you know, for a funeral, but anyway, anything can happen. But no, we do all sorts of things. We can do catering on the boat, buffets. We do hot food, simple hot food like fish and chips and things.
That's very convenient.
Yeah, it's very popular, that is. Or people can bring their own food down. There's a bar on board. We have a dance area, only a small one. And so people, you know, particularly the girls, are very keen on the dancing. And we have flashing LED lights to give a bit of atmosphere. So it's all there. It's a proper party venue. And we can also do sightseeing trips as well, and with a commentary, and tell you all about the history of Birmingham. Other than that, you have your party, have a look through the windows as you go along, see the new part of Birmingham, see the old part of Birmingham, and the more rural bits as well.
Thank you so much. Excellent. I mean, it's an excellent idea. If you want to book your party, there you have it. Thank you so much for having us, Graham.
So we hope you enjoyed our trip aboard the Ensign boat here in the canal in the city center of Birmingham. We had a lovely time, and we think you should try something like this. For couples, it's amazing.
Very nice, very serene.
Relaxing.
You know, relaxing. Yeah, it's a very nice thing to do. Very different, my first time. And I would do this again, definitely.
Absolutely. See you next time. Bye-bye. We really hope that you enjoyed today's program, and we'll see you next week at the same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tearing me apart from the inside out, so I can see myself